Welcome, everybody, to the CFF List Waiver Watch Draft for Week 5. I'm Jay Mill. I got my partner, Willie B, as usual. And this week, we're joined by Dwight Peebles from Campus to Canton and Dynasty Nerds. How you guys doing? How'd you enjoy Week 4? I guess, Dwight, we'll go to you first, since you're the guest.
It was great, man. It was crazy to see some of the, obviously watching Michigan win was kind of a little bit of a surprise, but it's good to see them bounce back to form a little bit.
Right.
Good to see Tennessee do really well against Oklahoma. Then really the only game I watched in full was ironically last night, BYU and K-State. So
Oh yeah, that one I tuned in late and like right at the half,
yeah,
and was told by the announcers that it was like a really dull normal game until like the last 2 minutes of the first half, and BYU had a few things go their way and just turned that
yeah, it
game
was.
totally upside down. It sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. So I DJ weddings on the side, and this is my busy
Nice.
season. So
Yeah, yeah,
the big old no fall weddings,
right,
unfortunately, I wish would go true. But so I
right,
tend to I always have little like games and tickers going on my phone and kind of sort of watch throughout the
right.
day, and then I catch up a little bit at night usually. So
Do a big stat recap. Watch
yeah,
the
yep,
college football final on ESPN. Get your 2 hour
yep.
recap there.
Listen
Yeah, yeah, good.
listen to Cover 3 usually. Just listen to kind of
Right.
just kind of find out what happened, what I missed. So. Almost through those though.
All right,
Almost through
and
weddings, and we have like 3 more. So
all
yep.
right, good. Good luck. At least, yeah, maybe by mid-season you're totally done. Willie, what stood out to you? I mean, with
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was
When it gets
clearly
important.
the probably the one of the more exciting weeks as we started getting into conference play with Oklahoma going against Tennessee. Even the MAC starts to get better at this point because you got MAC teams playing MAC teams, or at least some of them. You're getting started on that, but what stood out in week 4 to you, Willie?
I decide that as far as what we're doing, obviously I cannot pick a waiver running back. So that's what I've noticed the most.
That's what
Um,
stood out is our four
that's
picks.
what that's what stood out to me is that I'm having a tough time picking a waiver running back for you guys. But as far as like wide receivers, I'm not gonna dwell on the negative. I'm gonna dwell on the positive. If you listen to me, you should have Nick Nash on your squad. You should have Nair on your squad, and you should have Luke Grimm on your squad by now. So
Right, you're just typically like you said
I
last
will
week.
stand with that.
Right, and you're. It seems like your typical pattern here is you're like a week off. You had Grimm last week. He didn't do so well. Then of course this week he gets 30 points when you don't have him. Right, that's what you're
Right,
saying.
that's correct. Yep,
Right, and,
that's
and
it.
Nash a couple weeks ago, amazingly, Nash started this season available on the waiver watch, and
Hmm.
obviously he's wide receiver one by a long shot right now. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, but no, I was up again till 2 in the morning. Ended up watching the ECU Liberty game of all things that was
Mm.
delayed 5 hours, and in one of the leagues that we run, we call it the Super Starters because it's very deep rosters and very deep starting lineups, and it's a best ball where you can make add drops. Willie and I went head to head and literally had Cooley going against Ashlock in the early morning hours with Cooley giving him a 10-point lead and me needing like 10 more points from Ashlock from Hawaii, who failed me. He had a great game, but Cooley's touchdown at the end basically clinched it for Willie B in a best ball league against me head to head. It's 284 to 274, but I would say that the highlight of our week was going 2-0 back to backs week in the Kings Classic where Dwight joins us and also went 2-0. Dwight, have you been in the Kings Classic all 3 years, or I know you've been in there the last two since we were in, but are you one of the pioneers there with those guys in the Kings Classic?
I wasn't in the first year. No.
Okay,
So
so you
just
you
the last
started with us
couple. Yeah.
last year. Yeah, great. Well, yeah, it
Yep.
looks like you're off to a good start there too. So we're five and
Yeah.
three. You mentioned you're 6-2 right now. So if nothing else, guys, our records in the Kings Classic prove that you should be listening to us and the picks that we have for everybody today. So with that, though, let's get into a quick recap. Congrats to Jared Palmgren, everybody's favorite host from Chasing the Natty, the ever so popular CFF podcast that he runs and does a great job with. He proved he is definitely a guy to listen to. He got 121.4 points this week, narrowly missing the top 10 of all time by about 2 points. He nailed 5 of his 6 roster spots. Really, the standout had to be Koziol. He had 26.2, which, typically you're just looking for a tight end to get you 10 or 12. Koziol, he told you last week was no longer going to be available after this week. You better grab him while you can. And he showed out with 26.2. And then Veltkamp, the replacement quarterback, who a lot of people thought maybe should be the starter at Western Kentucky, also got him another 27.7 to lead all quarterbacks. But I will say, Willie B and I didn't do so well. But as a group, we did recommend 4 great quarterbacks. I had Gleason, who had 26.6. Debbie Jake had 21.6. And Willie B had 23.5 with Curtis Rourke. So if you were looking for a quarterback, we gave you 4 good ones. But the pick of the week, I have to say, goes to Jake, who got 51.8 from Devontae Ross, who was just really shooting up the year-to-date list for the wide receivers. He had 51.8 points for Troy and anybody who had him in their CFF lineup, which is the 3rd best for the entire season of all wide receivers. And, I can't get enough of patting myself on the back about talking about Devontae Ross from week 0 on. He's been a guy I've really pushed, and hopefully you got him, because I think he shot up from, what was he last week, about 6% rostered to like over 40%, or maybe even close to 50% by the end of last week. So he's long gone. You can't get him anymore, most likely. But he actually helped Jake get the 95.9 points that he had to finish second. So, we had some strong performances by the guests. We're not going to harp on, what we need to do, because we both had a lot of red in our scoring columns there. But we're just going to work to get better. For the first time in a long time, our combined average is actually lower than our guests. I think we're averaging for the season about 75. The guests are somewhere, in kind of the mid 80 range. Typically we've averaged, around 88 or 90, which is what we're targeting, on a week to week basis. But Willie, we got to step it up this week. So, we can at least kind of get our average back to where it is higher than the guest. And Dwight, we still are going to be rooting for you, because we want everybody to benefit from all the commentary. So we're hoping to see you again in the semifinals and see what you got. I know it's your first time with us in the 3 years we've been doing this. So we still wish you luck. And we're I always look to see who everybody takes, because there's usually 1 or 2 guys I've still never even heard of, because there's so many guys emerging week to week in college fantasy.
Yeah, Willie got such a bad break this week on that Cam Edwards, man. I mean, there were 2 UConn backs with over 30 points other than Edwards, and I'm like, that was tough, man. Sometimes college football is such a you just want to bang your head on the table, man.
Right. Yeah. And on that note, as far as not being able to, kind of see down the road as far as who's playing, I mentioned last week, like when we were doing this, like I thought, Quentin Cooley was out for the season based on bad news that I got from my son. And here he goes, starting the game and beating me in a head-to-head matchup with Willie B. And, I picked Billy Lucas to replace him as one of my guys, who only gave me 5 points. And
yeah, it was a
couple other guys
too.
Quavez Humphreys getting totally shut out for Sam Houston. Like I have, I don't know. I thought he was going to be the new wide receiver 1 there, but I guess I was wrong. We got to give him, a little more time. But you know what? You live and you learn. You move on, and you hope you can bounce back. And that's what we're going to do this week. So Willie, let's scroll on up to the draft chart for week 5. Once again, for anybody tuning in that's new, we're not just providing waiver advice. We're providing what I would say is maybe more emergency waiver advice for players that we think will help you the most this specific week. So we are looking at the matchups, trying to outscore one another, and bringing the best 5 guest pickers along to a semifinal round that will start in week 8. But with that said, Dwight won the randomizer and gets the privilege of going first. We'll snake 1 time, come back to Dwight for back-to-back picks in rounds 2 and 3, and then carry on from there. So Dwight, I know the list is getting slimmer as we move through the season as far as the real standouts. But let's see how you did in your homework late last night, like I was doing, and who you're gonna take with the 1.1 in the week 5 waiver draft.
I was hoping I didn't get the 1, because this is a tough one, because I feel like my longest list is quarterback, and there are a lot of quarterbacks that did really well.
Right.
including one that I really, 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 really want. But I feel like the depth at running back is much, much shallower. So I'm going
Agreed.
to go with the Michigan running back, Cal. I'm going to call him Cal L because he sounds like he's from Superman. So it's Cal L. Mullings. That's what I'm going to call him.
Okay.
Because what he's doing is just amazing. I think they've been searching for that lead back, that Donovan Edwards just is not it. He had a monster game this week, and I think next week's got Minnesota on the docket. He's averaging
Yep.
8 yards a carry. The Wolverines are back to leaning on the run, which they're going to have to do to win games. So
Yep.
I'm going to go with Cal L. Mullins. His last week, he's 24%, but I bet it's going to be closer to 40 or 50% after this week. So
Yeah. That's is
yeah.
that your team? I know you're from Michigan. Are you a
No,
big?
I'm actually a Spartan. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you were one of those guys that was like paying extra special attention to Michigan.
No. I just think
Okay.
he's got the role going up against Minnesota. I expect them just to lean on the run really hard.
He showed it last year at the end of the season in that bowl game, and kind of caught a few of our analysts' attention, which made a lot of people doubt why Donovan Edwards was getting so much clout and attention in covers of video games and things like that. But yeah, it looks like if he technically doesn't start games, he seems to still be kind of the new RB1 there at Michigan, and he's definitely a lot more productive and efficient with his carries. So I had him.
Right.
I had him at the top of my list. Also, I have to say that. So
I had him. Actually, Fluff would have been at my top, but he was just over the 30% threshold.
Yep. Yeah, Willie B's mentioned Fluff to me for the Kings Classic, and I didn't go with him on that, and I'm now being regretful. So
I'm a big guy. I got to go with Fluff. Come on, baby.
Yeah. He looked great. He looked great in the Thursday game, or was it Friday? One of those. But yeah, he looked really good watching. You just you see numbers on paper so much. It's always good when you can kind of get the eye test and watch them in a real game when you're isolated with just one game instead of the 20 that are going on Saturdays. But yeah, Willie, you're stuck in the middle here. Let's see who you got.
Yeah. So quick reminder, J Mel, if you can grab those logos for me, and I'll do the rest.
All right. You got it.
Yeah. So Dwight, I love the pick. My youngest, his name is Jorel. So love the Kal-El pick that you just made there. So my guy here, I'm taking a page out of Jared's playbook. This should have been probably the number one pickup of the week per se. So we're gonna go. Whoops, I don't know why I did that. Probably because I saw Jeremy in there. So we're gonna go Micah Bernard from Utah. So he had 25 carries for 182 yards against Oklahoma State, and that big win for them. So I got to see him up close. 29% rostered. They have they have a little bit better matchup as far as against the run. They go to Arizona this week as who they get. So love the Michael Madar being able to get him here, and we're going to concentrate on running back for once. And
all right, now, I like it. He's also been very consistent. It was one of those you expected to have the kind of the classic Utah committee this year again. But as they've struggled at quarterback, he's emerged these last 3 weeks as really a clear RB1, with 20, 21, and 20 points in the last 3 weeks. So I like it for consistency. He was actually number 2 on my board. So you guys have swiped the top 2 that I had in a slim group. I get the back-to-back picks here. Then we go back to Willie. I'm going to take a little bit of a chance that you guys don't have my third running back, and then the guy I have third, and the fourth. After that, it's just a little bit of a roll of the dice. So I'm going to take both of the receivers that I have at the top of my list here with my back. So I'm going to go Elijah Metcalf from Marshall, which those that know me know it's a little bit of a homer pick, but as such, I was watching the game closely, and if you can put up 20.8 points versus Ohio State and be the one thing that really stood out as really good in that game, that's not easy to do. And Elijah Metcalf did that. He had the most targets he's had all season. So when Marshall's there facing adversity, they looked for him. He really just shined in that game. The announcers were all over him. He's averaging 15.6, but I expect that to go up, especially after 21 against Ohio State. And they've got Western Michigan, who's 95th against the pass D, which also helps. Second is a guy that I picked up in a couple of leagues last week, even though he had a bye, just trying to kind of get the sneaky early pickup on Georgia State wide receiver Ted Hurst. He's playing a 125th ranked pass D from Georgia Southern, and he's only rostered on 6% of teams. He's averaging 18.9. And I love the fact that, he had 7 and 11 targets in his last 2 games, which resulted in 20 points and 32 points. So I think you're seeing some pretty good things, from that Georgia State pass offense, a little bit surprisingly. But, Ted Hurst could be a sneaky pickup. And I think, I did a sneaky job grabbing him last week ahead of the curve here going into his bye. So there's my 2 receivers are all finished. I'll let you guys have the rest.
Yeah, I loved the Metcalf. He was actually my top on my list just because I was watching that game too, and he just looked like he was constantly open. Right. I mean, and once they realize that what they've got there and that talent is just going to keep coming, and they must be giving him a lot of free biscuits. So the kid,
that was. I've actually eaten at Tudor's. It is worth a trip down to Marshall to go get those Tudor's biscuits that Coach Huff was
lots of free biscuits for
trying to incentivize guys with. Yeah, it was great. He got a lot of coverage off of that this week. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right, Willie, so back to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I'm surprised you didn't take him, but it could be the matchup. But his numbers don't lie, and so we're going to go Dante Wright. He's earned it. He's the last 3 games. This is another 20-point guy in the last 3 weeks.
Yep.
So he should already be rostered, even though he's not right now. I want to say he's I think 26.
23. Or did he go up overnight? He was 23.
Yeah, 23. 23. He's still at 23. So they get Army, but like I said, and against Navy he had 29.1, Coastal Carolina 25.5, and then 20.6 yesterday against Utah State. So
right.
His targets and receptions were down, but he still got in the end zone, which is what you love. So I expect him to get that uptick this week and hopefully getting the end zone again as well.
Yeah, and we talked about last week, Jared mentioning him as a guy you may not want to buy a couple weeks ago, but I think he got turned around and kind of saw the logic of sometimes you just need the only good guy on a bad team. It hurts when you're on a bad team, but if you're the only good thing on a bad team, it can work to your benefit because Dante Wright, is clearly the go-to guy there at Temple. So can't go wrong with that one. I don't think either. He's going to keep getting his targets all year long as long as he remains healthy. So Dwight, you get the benefit of back-to-back here, and then we go back to Willie and kind of just go in a regular motion from this point on. So you get to take 2. Let's see if you fill out that quarterback spot with one of them. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go first. I mean, I didn't get to see the whole game, unfortunately, but I mean, you've got to buy the Kool-Aid when a kid puts up nearly 70 points. I'm going to go with Alonzo Barnett, James Madison's quarterback. Yep. Really love the matchup against Ball State next week. Just seeing what he did this week was just impressive to see. 388 yards, 5 touchdowns against North Carolina, which isn't a great defense, but it's still a group of 5, or a group of 5, a P4.
Power 4, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
They played like a G5 team. Anyways, right. So it should be another shootout because I actually really like Ball State's quarterback in this game too. I think this game could be a pretty fun game to watch. Yeah. And he's going to get pushed to score. I mean, you're not going to get 70 points again, probably ever out of him, but anybody that's got that potential can score 40, 50 any week. So
he had 26 2 weeks ago. Something happened in between where he only got to 6.9, but the thing I love this week, the note I had on him, Dwight, is Ball State after this week is now 132nd in passing defense, so that should make you feel even better about that choice.
Yeah, they just got beat by Joey Labas. I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah. So, you're right. That should be a lot of balls in the air in that one. So you get a bonus pick here, Dwight. So, or wait, no, Willie, does he? Or
no, I don't think he. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dwight. I hope I didn't throw you off with making that
No,
pick. Okay, yeah, I forget. We just do the double picks once since there's only three of us. Okay,
right,
so
yeah.
now we
Then
continue the regular order. Yeah, Willie, it's your turn. My mistake.
okay, no,
All
it's
right.
all good.
Yeah, and then you'll get
Yeah,
the
no,
you'll finish up with the last pick, Dwight, because now we just go in the regular order. All right.
yeah. Not necessarily a snipe, but that was definitely on my radar as far as my second quarterback, and was hoping actually to get that guy, but alas, didn't do it. So we're gonna go. Let's see. Man, that one was a tough one. Let's go running back again here.
Let's see if I made the right move taking the receivers instead of. If you take the guy I have at the top, then I'm going to pretty much be done for the week.
Yeah,
Let's see who you got.
there's two of now you put the pressure on me. There's two of them that I really wanted. Um,
Will it be a service academy guy? There's a lot of those guys running around here.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
no. This is the guy that I really thought we were going to take him last week, but I'm gonna go Star Thomas. Um, he is 8% rostered.
From Duke?
Yes, from Duke. He's just steadily on the rise, and he's finally reaching the end zone. 13 carries, 17 carries, 22 carries, and he had another 17 for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns against Middle Tennessee State yesterday. So only 8% rostered. Um, one of those names that just hangs around, and he's finally getting his chance. So
I
Star
missed I
Thomas.
missed him in my notes. I know who he is, and and once you mentioned it, I'm like, how did I not take him down as one of mine? So that means you didn't take mine, though. But that's a good pickup. Yeah. So yeah, now I'm just puzzled how I missed him on the fan tracks list there. Well, with that, let's see. Yeah, Dwight needs another running back. I don't have any. I think I better grab one of the guys I like. I still don't think you guys would have him here to take, but I just want to get him now. I'm going to take Aaron Young from Old Dominion. He's really, this is a matchup pick. He's playing against Bowling Green, who's at 125th against the rush and giving up yards. He's due to hit the end zone. He's been getting the carries. He's had 16, 25, and 17 carries. So he's definitely getting the volume there at Old Dominion. But it's only netted 10.9 points a game because he hasn't hit the end zone. But he is getting the yards and the carries. So now if we can just get him in the end zone against Bowling Green, or get him to double up on his yardage, get him up to a 150-yard game. Aaron Young from Old Dominion should be worthwhile this week, I think. So, did either one of you guys have him on the list, even on your end?
And I'm going to say no. He was
Okay,
not on my list.
all right.
I
I was
No,
had
just
I had a
curious.
mine
list
neither.
of 7.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. So
Yeah,
I
it was.
wasted a pick then. Is what that means.
It's tough this week, man. It's yeah.
Yeah.
It
No, I'm
was
saying
tough.
I didn't have to take him there. I could have snuck.
Right, you have to
I
take
could
him
have sniped.
early,
I
is
could
what
have
you
sniped
mean.
Willie's quarterback.
There
But
you
anyway,
go.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Now, Dwight, it comes back to you because now we've stopped
Oh,
all the
all
reversals
right.
here. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see
Dwight's
here.
like, how do they come up with this random order?
It's like, just tell me when I'm on the clock, man. We're
Yeah,
good. We
yeah,
got this. Woohoo!
yeah,
All
yeah,
right. Yeah, I'm really tough here.
yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I know you said Willie likes Luke Grimm, and I do too. I like him a lot. In that Kansas game, he's one that really stood out as a guy who's getting targets from Jalen Daniels. Problem is Jalen Daniels, it doesn't seem to target very well lately.
Mm-hmm.
But Grimm just he's got a knack for getting the ball in the end zone, and I think next week it's going to be a huge week against TCU. So I like Grimm quite a bit this week. At least a touchdown, and he should be a good. So he's one of the guys I was looking for.
Yeah. I mean, based on Willie having him for the bad week, he should be good for the rest of the season now.
Exactly.
You know.
Rebound. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
a guy who picks
do
up on the rebound chicks. We're good.
right. They only do poorly when Willie grabs them the week early, as we mentioned. So
Yeah.
you're in great shape there with the Luke Grimm pick.
There you go.
Well, all right, Willie, back in the middle of you, and are you going to break open the tight end picks? Is the big question here.
Oof.
No. It's so much randomness in the tight end
Uh-huh.
position. So I'm just not going to go there.
Right.
I'm gonna go with one of the names that I said earlier that I told you to pick a couple of weeks. I don't know why I keep doing. I see
Hey, thanks for the pick, Willie.
you're in that Jay Mill's in that box, and it makes me
Oh,
seem like that's where I am.
okay.
So I'm gonna go Isaiah Nair again for Nebraska.
Yep.
Good pick. I was going between
Had
him and
he had 4 receptions for 90 yards and 2 scores against Illinois yesterday.
Yep.
They go to Purdue. Um, Nebraska is going to do what they're going to do. So that 16th rank that Fantrax is giving them, that doesn't scare me away.
Yep.
Ooh.
Nebraska's. I just think that they're coming into their own, and they're going to start putting lighting up the scoreboard, I should
Yeah, that
say.
should be a pretty good test for him. It is I had him 16th on Fantrax against receivers, also the number 9 pass D in terms of yards given up. So it'll be a little tougher, but yeah, he seems to definitely be the guy there at Nebraska, and he's got the right quarterback finally.
Yeah, I feel like
going on.
Rayola's looking for him in the red zone. So it was
Yeah.
for me it was between Grimm and Nair. So
Yep, he was my number
2
3
guys that
receiver.
are
Yeah.
probably not going to be under 30 again. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
we got a lot of guys on this list that probably are never going to be able to get drafted again in this exercise. They're right at that 30% mark. So
Yeah, exactly. So that kicks it up to me. Still one other running back slot besides mine that needs to be taken, but like this literally is where I feel like we're out of really good, guaranteed waiver wire pickups here. But I'm going to go with a guy who's kind of playing that 1A 1B game in his backfield, which is George Pettaway from James Madison. We talked about the matchup they've got this week, and not only is Ball State 132nd against the pass, they're also 122nd against the run in terms of yardage allowed. So I think it's just a big day all around again for JMU. George Pettaway is only rostered on 15% of teams. He's still averaging 15 points a game. This week wasn't his best because basically the quarterback was stealing the show. But he still had 16 carries. So his carries are trending upwards. He had the last 3 weeks, 8 carries, 10 carries, 16 carries. But I think he finds his way to the end zone. The quarterback's feeling a little more generous now that he's made his name and lets his running back shine against Ball State also. But yeah, they could put up another 50 points this week the way it's looking against that Ball State defense. So there you go. It was either him, guys, or literally like 4 Service Academy running backs to choose from between Navy and Army. So.
Which I know you like to do that, but you don't want to be forced to.
Yeah, they just don't get enough carries to make you feel good, even though they do get in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know which one's going to get the handoff, the dive back, the pitch back, the quarterback.
Right.
I may go quarterback. I may take it at quarterback, though, which is shocking. A real fun fact, 2 of the top 4 performances this week at quarterback in fantasy football were Service Academy quarterbacks, which I don't think has ever happened. You had the Navy quarterback number 1, and the Army quarterback, I think, was number 3 or 4, or number 4. It was definitely number 4 in terms of total points. So that's a pretty amazing stat to me.
Unreal.
Yeah. So that gave you some time there, Dwight, to think about your next pick. It was stalling for you.
Dwight? Yeah, he's on mute.
Okay. Dwight, you're on mute. Dwight.
Sorry, my wife tries to do that to me all the time. Anyways,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with this is kind of a projection game. I know that the matchup is not great, but I think that Maryland and Indiana this week is going to be a really fun matchup. I know Indiana's got that defense that has all the high numbers right now, but Indiana has not played anybody. So I think this is going to be a game where the quarterback is going to shine and Felton's going to get his. But I'm actually going with Caden Prather. Just because I think that Indiana is going to try to take Felton out of the game. Right. And Prather has scored the last couple games, and he is starting to emerge as more of a target. So only rostered in 17% of the leagues. I'm just going to take a while. It's kind of this is one that could end up with a big fat 0. I realize that, but I think it's going to be a fun.
I think it's just, as they say, his floor is pretty steady. Like, I think he's kind of a 12-point worst case scenario guy. He's actually a pretty safe pick. I don't know that he has the ceiling that you would like him to have, but I think it's a safer pick than you're giving yourself credit there for, because he's getting his 4 or 5 catches a game for 50 or 60 yards almost no matter what. So he's going to get his balls.
Yeah, and to give listeners, I mean, we're out of wide receivers here at this point, but I was also looking at Aaron Anderson, Coleman Owen, and Skylar Bell as a couple guys I really like to take, that we could have took a flyer on here. So a couple guys I like.
So we like the pick. I have him and Sickos, and so he came through this week. So I love this pick.
Yeah, good one.
Thank you.
All right. Willie,
Tied
Yeah.
in. Come on, Willie.
get
Um,
Army or Navy quarterback. Go for one. I'll take the other if
Yeah.
you do one.
no,
It's
I
a lot
don't
of good
think
quarterbacks.
I don't think I'm going that way. I think,
Okay.
I think we're going to go Key Jenkins from FIU
Oh yeah. I think it's
is
Keon.
where,
Yeah.
yeah, Keon is where we're going. He's
Okay.
8% rostered. He's been consistent. Aside from their game at Indiana,
Hmm.
so I know I know you say they haven't played anyone, but aside from that game where he only had 8 points, he's gone 23.2, 24.7, and then 24 and a half yesterday. So I feel comfortable that he should still have a decent outing and hopefully um, give me another 20 points. Should all these guys that we've listed here, I should have 80 points right now. Is what should be happening.
So you're saying
So
at least 80.
I
Okay,
should
we'll
have
take
at
80.
least 80 points right now.
That would raise
So
our collective average, Willie. So I hope that you can get 80 and we can start to shoot up from the 74 we're averaging combined right now.
right.
Okay, well, that means I can take my quarterback last because you guys both have one. I will open up the tight end can. And I think there's two guys I'm really looking at. Maybe it doesn't matter because I'm taking one now. So I'll throw out I'm choosing between Terrence Carter from Louisiana Lafayette uh, and a guy who's just gotten back and is healthy from Wyoming, which is John Michael Gillenborg, who had a pretty good first healthy game back with 10.6 this week. But I think it's going to play into what I do next. So I'm going to go Terrence Carter, Louisiana Lafayette. You should be able to get him in just about any league. He's only rostered on 1%. They are playing, up, quote unquote, with Power 4 team against Wake Forest, but Wake Forest is 127th pass defense, and it's 110th against tight ends, for fantasy. And he's getting 4 to 6 targets a game, and he's pretty efficient with that. He's had 18 points this week. He's averaging 11.7. He was coming on towards the end of last year, so I don't think he's a fluky tight end that you probably haven't heard of. He's a guy whose name you just may not know because of where he plays, but I think he's a reliable guy there at Louisiana Lafayette. So that's who I'm going with.
Like it. Then you get to say, oh, Terrence Carter. From the old Clarence. He's got to be Clarence Carter's cousin from the stroking days. Come on, he has
Oh
to be.
my God.
Terrence Carter. Terrence
Wow.
Carter.
All right,
Oh,
all
he's
right,
stroking.
Dwight.
Terrence Carter is going to be stroking on the
He's
field.
got to be stroking. He's got to use it, man. Like, it's a great NIL opportunity. Come on, man.
Exactly.
He's stroking. Come on.
All right, Dwight. Now I got to when we get done here, I got to find out what church you're going to, Dwight.
Yep.
I
Wow.
couldn't help it, man. I always
That's
gotta have
nice.
a silly. Yeah.
That's
All right.
good. That's good.
All right. Am I back up now, or?
You are.
Actually, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. You guys got me rattled too. All right. For running back, I'm going to take one of the Service Academy guys. I'll take Eli Heidenreich from Navy. I really like the UAB matchup this week. Guy who's not getting a lot of running in that offense, but he is catching passes for long touchdowns, been getting 20 points a week. Just guy I wanted to take a late flyer on. Like you said, the running backs get pretty gross pretty quick here. So I'll take a shot this week. It should be a nice high scoring game, and as high scoring as the academies get, typically.
Yeah, I thought you mentioned the interesting thing about him. He's getting 5 to 6 targets a game. He had more carries in the first 2 games, but he only had 1 carry last week. But it looks like, I don't know if I haven't watched them play, so I don't know if they're splitting him out as an actual wide receiver or not. But the fact that he only had 1 carry this week, but he had 4 catches in every game makes me think maybe they're actually legitimately using him as a running back and a wide receiver there at Navy.
Because they tend to do that, where they have those guys. You're trying to defend the run so much that if you have a running back that can split out and do that, it can cause the defense is a lot of problems because you're so worried about their running.
Right. So, and he's found the end zone every week, so that's good.
Yep.
All right. Okay, Willie, your final pick, last pick of your draft.
Yeah, this is just bad. Yeah, this is just bad. But I'm just going to go with a guy who may just have the hot hand.
Okay.
Um, he's 1% rostered. Uh,
Okay.
hopefully you probably saw him play yesterday, J Mill,
Hmm.
up close, and maybe you can give me a little bit more
Yeah,
information. But we're going to
I know
go.
who you're going with here. It's going to be a good pick. Don't worry. I know who you're leaning towards.
Okay, so we're going to go Kenny Fletcher
Yep.
from Rutgers.
Yep.
He had nine targets, but he had 7 receptions, 61 yards. Did not get in the end zone
Right.
this week. He had in the previous 2 weeks, so maybe he can bounce back and get in the end zone
Yeah.
again.
Now he's
But it's slim pickings out
But he's
here.
legitimate. He was actually in the group of three that I had to choose from. So, yeah, it's another homer pick. That's where my other son played at Rutgers. So we watch all of those games close. Big win yesterday. We go 3-0. We got the Rutgers shirt on as we speak. I picked him up after week one after he had a 13-point game. Got a little nervous when he only, had a couple of targets in week two, but with the 9 targets this week and watching him on the field, like nobody's coming in for him. He's the tight end one, and the new quarterback for Minnesota, for the Greek kid, seems to love to target him. So I think that's a good pick. And as good as you can get right now as far as what's out there at tight end that's available. That's going to be consistent.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say worst case we should be 83 and a half.
83 and a half. Okay, that's the over under is 83 and a half. Tracy Willie is setting his own over under at 83 and a half. All right, I like that you put the half on there, so you either win or lose.
Yeah.
Oh no, we do decimals, so you could tie. Okay. All right. Well, I suggested that my last pick was going to be in conjunction with my last pick with Terrence Carter at tight end. Kind of going back to what worked for Jared last week and doing a little bit of a stack here. Ben Wooldridge at quarterback for Louisiana Lafayette is only rostered by 3% of teams. But, he's playing against a Wake Forest team that gives up a lot of yards. Even if they are overmatched, you kind of want that because they're going to be throwing the ball, maybe playing from behind against a team that is a little loose there in terms of the secondary. He's averaging 24.3. He's been consistent. He's had 25, 15, and then 33 against Tulane. And then last year, before the injury that put him out for the season, he was averaging 24.3 last year, before he got hurt. So he's a name that in preseason we probably had a little higher than some. It's not quite time to take a victory lap on him, but he's the perfect quarterback to grab now that they're going into the SBC play. That could potentially not just help you this week, but might be a great backup for you for the remainder of the season because he's been consistent if nothing else.
Right.
Excellent.
I really love the matchups that he's going to have in the next 4 weeks also.
Right. Yeah. So he's playing kind of the weaker side of the Sun Belt in terms of the defenses he'll face. So not just this week, but for the remainder. Yeah, and I've got 4 guys under 7% or less. So I think
Yeah,
I'm
there's a
providing.
lot of
Yeah, I think I'm providing the most help this week, guys, because my guys are definitely going to be available in just about every league.
Well, yeah, there's quarterbacks that I consider that were under 10%. I mean, you got Samanza from Ball State.
Yep.
Potential shootout with James Madison. Jake Retzlaff from BYU looked great last night.
Right.
And they're playing Baylor in what should be a shootout. And you got Daly from Army. And then, I mean, just the
Yeah.
quarterback options are so good. And then you got
Yeah,
guys that run,
now that they're gone, like Horvath from Navy is averaging 39.1. Obviously, that's skewed a little bit this week with 63, but last week he had 39. Daly, I think, might end up being the more consistent of the two, and regretfully didn't pick him up in a couple of really deep leagues this week. So I think I'm going to have to bid way more this week than I would have had to last week because he's came out of the gate with 21, 17, and 45 points. And is getting more carries than any of the running backs since it's his decision to keep the ball and the lanes are there for him. That's what he's deciding to do. So I think Daly and Horvath are definitely worth picking up. For guys that are looking also. They were the last couple on my list. The guy that I was sad to see had a bye because he stood out like a sore thumb and under 30%.
Emmett Brown.
Was Emmett Brown, yeah. So
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
That's a name, I'll mention as quarterback for the rest of the season if you can get Emmett Brown. And I'm sure he's on everyone's radar, so you're going to look to spend a lot of free agent bucks if you do want him this week. But he could be worth it to kind of get you to the playoffs if you need somebody.
Wasn't he in Back to the Future? I don't know.
I don't remember
Doc,
that.
yeah,
Wasn't it
that's
Doc
correct.
Emmett Brown? Yeah,
Yeah,
Was it?
I think that's
I
what
don't
I
know.
think it was.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
But
all about the pop culture here, baby. That's
right,
what I'm here
yeah.
for.
I guess without a fourth guest here today, we've stepped in a little early with our extra picks. Let's let Dwight finish off his team, and then we can go over any remaining guys to wrap this thing up that we have, since
Okay.
we didn't have the fourth person. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
if I
Dwight.
got it.
Finish
Yeah,
it off.
I'll go with Dorian Fleming from Georgia State.
Yep.
He's second on the team in targets. Has a great matchup against Georgia Southern, Week 5. Just been getting consistent targets. I want to, if he's getting, let me see, 5, 6, and 9 the last 3 games.
Yep.
So and he was on bye this week, so just one that kind of popped out as a guy who will, probably get me 8 to 10 points, but hopefully a little more.
No, he's been consistent. 17, 7, and 11 points. You mentioned the targets. Georgia Southern is 125th against pass defense. I would say the only reason I didn't grab him is I didn't want to double up on Georgia State receivers. I already had Ted Hurst, so I think that's a really good pick and could be a great little rivalry game. I'm assuming Georgia Southern and Georgia State are rivals. If not, they should be. But yeah, that should be a fun game. That's another one of those we like to point out that people should tune into. That's the Sickos Committee. I'm sure will be touting on their Twitter account this week. That's like a Sickos Committee written all over it there to prioritize watching the Georgia Southern Georgia State game over a top 25 matchup. It'll be more fun. So, all right, Willie, we'll give Dwight a little break, but let's see if anybody standing out from your list at any position that didn't get snatched up here that you would want to share with people, even if you've got a note that they're on a bye or something for the future.
Well, the one that he was on my list, and I think subliminally I steered away. I think Dwight said something that kind of triggered it. But Billy Edwards, from Maryland, probably should have taken him, but I still like the Jenkins pick. I still like the Jenkins pick, but Billy Edwards should be rostered.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's pretty surprising. He's still under 26%, under 30%. He's at 26. That's a classic guy. You probably won't find him in your bigger leagues, but if you're in a 10-team league or 12-team league with small rosters, he should probably be there. I like him. He was the last quarterback that hasn't been mentioned that was on my list also.
And then you're talking about a bye. So the guy that has the bye this week that probably should be rostered, and I'm looking at Tyler Huff out of Jacksonville State.
Okay.
6% rostered, but he's averaging 23.5 points. So. Okay. And when they get to conference play, that he should have that steady line. So a guy like that should be one to look out for.
Okay. You got any more? Any others there, Willie, or that's about it for you?
I'll let you guys go first while I dig a little bit here. But there's a couple of running backs, Sumo, a guy like and then Ellison should also be rostered by now.
From Indiana?
I think that's Justice, if I'm not mistaken. Justice Ellison from Indiana. Yeah, he's 10% rostered. I thought about taking a flyer on him. He's one of the lower level guys, averaging 14 points.
Yeah,
which isn't horrible. So I mean, you could do worse, but in a pinch, that's what you're looking for. Guys like that who can fill in and give you that 10 points when you don't have any other options.
Right. So. Yeah. Especially with injuries. All right, Dwight, you got 1, 2, or 3 here for us that you might have had noted?
I kind of sort of mentioned them when we were talking about the wide receivers and quarterbacks. Running back's the only other guy that I kind of thought about was Kelly Joyner from South Florida.
Right.
He's had a couple rough games against Miami and Bama, but when he's played lower level competition, I mean, the guy's just electric with the ball in his hands, does a lot with the few touches that he gets. Scored twice against Southern Miss and whatever that BC is. I don't even remember what that college is.
Virginia Commonwealth, probably. Yeah, probably Virginia Commonwealth.
So
And he's got dual eligibility, right? He's still got the running back wide receiver designation in Fantrax.
Yes, he does. Yeah. And he's got Tulsa up next. Should be a really high scoring game. Yeah, so I kind of liked him as a guy who could pop off and get a couple touchdowns on 15 catches or 15 touches. So
right. Yeah, no, that's a good one. I've kind of the last 2 weeks gone back and forth with him in a couple of leagues if I should get him or not. But I think you're steering people right there. Any final folks?
That's it, man.
Okay, the one I'll mention. Is a guy I had last week. He is again. This is more for the future. He's on a bye this week. I had kind of the second best producer for me last week was Rasul Faison from Utah State, getting the clear running back one spot now that Briggs is out for the season at Utah State. He came through and got me 20 fantasy points this week, but he happens to be on a bye this week. So I would look to him if you need some running back help. Flip a coin if you're really desperate between these Army running backs, Noah Short and Kanye Udo. They're both, averaging, a decent amount, even though they don't get many carries. I think the last person I'll mention is maybe Cade McDonald from Miami, Ohio, playing against UMass and averaging 18.5 points. Prior to Notre Dame, which, they gave him an early run, but they were still outclassed by Notre Dame. So you don't expect much. He got 9.2 there, but he had 18.5 and 27.5 the 2 weeks before. And they're back to playing against a team that they should compete with, which is UMass this week. So Cade McDonald would be my undrafted wide receiver for this week that could help in a pinch. So that would be that.
I got one more guy that I want to mention. Only want to mention him now because after this week they have a bye, so he's probably going to get forgotten, and that's going to be C.J. Campbell. They get Wagner, then they have a bye, then they have North Texas.
And where's he from?
So the running back out of FAU.
Okay, gotcha.
He had 18 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown yesterday.
Okay.
So he's averaging 13.5 points. But I think that's going to have an uptick once he starts finding the end zone against his conference foes. So
okay.
Look out for him. But like I say, he'll have a bye next week, and then they have North Texas the week after.
Okay. Well, Dwight, we really appreciate you. Glad we could finally work you into the waiver draft. What are you going to be doing this week over at Campus to Campus and Dynasty Nerds? I know you look through a lot of the film there and do the film cut-ups and do a little bit of deeper, like real person scouting on some of these guys compared to a guy like me who primarily just sees the stats on the paper. But, what's the week look like for you in terms of what you'll have out there?
What's funny is that all the cut-ups I do, on this list, there's probably nobody I'll do a cut-up for. It's mainly focusing on guys that are going to be drafted, so we can build a library.
NFL potential guys?
Yeah, so,
yeah.
There's a couple guys on here that might make it, but, so I do that, and then I kind of catch up on the week. I have a C2C beat article I usually release at the middle of the week that kind of goes through a quick recap of the college side, a quick recap of the NFL side. Right. A little bit of my goofy humor mixed in, so
okay.
And then just a lot of editing, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, just
Fantastic.
soaking it all in, man.
All right. Yeah. Well, we again really appreciate you. Hopefully, we'll figure out a way to get you back here for the semis if you can kind of reach that 90 to 100 point or plus level.
So,
do you want to go Willie B's route and set your own over under like the minimum? Willie's at 83.5. I'll do my quick math. Let's see.
243. Oh wait,
243 divided by 2.
No. We'll say 95. Yeah, I like
95. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go 92 for me. I'm going to go 92. Wow. So. Yeah, 92, Dwight 95, Willie 83. It's all documented. We will recap this next week. And if we all nail it, then people should be paying us to do even more.
If we don't, we won't mention it anyway. So,
this never happened. If we don't get close, this never happened. But thanks everybody. Good luck. Should be another great week. Willie B, any final departing words?
As usual, thank you for watching and listening. Good luck this week.